going on? Today is January 31st. You're listening or watching the Daily Show live. And as we have been doing every Wednesday now for several months, it is breaking AI news that's been going on over the last 7 days since we last did this show. And as with all weeks, there's always quite a few topics that come up that are super interesting. We don't know what our individual topics are, so we're always learning right along with you guys. Today we have Jyunmi, Beth, Karl, Andy, and I'm Brian. And let's just dive right in. Who's got maybe the biggest news? I don't know, Andy, do you want to jump in with yours because you mentioned one right beforehand?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Google is often maligned largely because one of our key ops strategists here, Karl, lives in Canada, and Bard is not available. It's available everywhere in the world except Canada.
Yeah,
it's so strange, and I don't think we've really finally understood why Canada is excluded, but maybe Karl can talk about that later. Anyway,
what's wrong with Canada, Karl?
Bard has kind of quietly released a very capable video summarizer. That makes sense in the context of Google because of YouTube. You can now take a multi-hour YouTube video. You don't have to download it or do the transcript or anything like that. You just go to Bard, you put the link in, and bang, out comes a summary of that entire video. That is a major accelerant for that. I have repeatedly had to go to YouTube and copy the transcript in order to get a summary of a YouTube. Now, this is a reason for me to go to Bard.
Yeah, I agree with you. Go ahead, Karl. What?
Oh, I was just saying, is this a new feature or is this part of extensions that they released a while back?
No, apparently it's just a new capability that it was referenced in one of the newsletters that I read, and so I can't give you the citation on it right now, but it was apparently just something that had been noticed in the past week as a new capability of Bard.
I will say this, when I was using the YouTube extensions, it's actually pretty good. It's much better than pretty much everything that's out there because
so there was an extension that you could add to Chrome?
No. So on Bard, when you it's funny, when you put you can put the various Google extensions.
Oh, okay. How do you know this, Karl, since you're in Canada?
Well, okay, so here's the funny thing of all this. Because I work with Benevity, we are a Google shop. So we have and then we have Google reps that I talk to and I complain to on a regular basis. Why is this stuff not in Canada? And they invite me to all their fun Google functions. And again, the running joke is they have these slick videos and I watch them and I was like, this is cool, but none of us in this room can use any of these things. But everyone's nodding their head and this is so cool. I'm like, no, this is not cool. We can't use any of this. We haven't used this for the past 3 months. Anyway, so again, that's a little rant, but yes, you can go.
Look, we're going to do a show on why Google doesn't allow Bard in Canada.
You know what? Or why AI hates Canada in general. I mean, really, at this point.
It won't be Canada. It'll be like Karl.
It's all right. We're going to make a difference through this show. I can feel it. Our audiences are growing week by week. And we will eventually have a solid footing to make some legislative changes in Canada and get this thing taken care of. So hold tight, Karl. We're coming for you. We're going to help you out with all of Canadians will be thanking us before too long. Okay, so that obviously just sort of starting off with some of the Google Bard stuff. By the way, I just tried it while we were talking about it. There's been a funny video going around that's like Jon Stewart's beef with Chicago pizza. It is pretty funny. It's from The Daily Show. And so I threw that link in really quick because it was the first thing on YouTube. And within 5 seconds, it came back with a 4-paragraph summary of the video. That's all I asked for. I didn't ask for it for a deep dive or a super analysis or anything like that. So it legit gave me a good summary of the video and how the Chicagoans have responded to Jon Stewart's rant and anger. It's obviously all in jest. It's very funny. But anyway, His whole thing is why deep dish pizza is not actually pizza. So that's pretty cool. I do like that. I am interested in people saying like Gemini Pro, which is what Bard has been using, is now more powerful. And I've heard people say they've put it against stress tests against GPT-4, and it's come out with similar, if not in some cases better results. Somebody, and I wish I could give attribution to him, but somebody literally said it really depends on what. It's probably one of the newsletters, like Ben's Bites or something. But it's like it really depends, right? If you want to do like search-based type stuff, the things that we know Google has been doing for decades now, and you want to bring back summaries of things, yeah, Bard is probably always going to be a really great source for that. If you're trying to do tasks, then you're probably more likely to use a ChatGPT. And I thought, well, that's pretty solid. I think that's a good way of looking at it. So as always, it's good to know that there's other tools out there. Waiting for Claude to have some big announcement soon with Anthropic, because I feel like they haven't been in the news as much. So we'll kind of watch as this AI space race continues. What else? I know we also want to talk about, let's talk about GPTs now having the function in there.
Before we pop there,
okay.
I don't know that we said this last week. It may have happened last week, but to that point of search and getting summaries, the Arc browser has a relationship with Perplexity. So when you use the Arc browser and you search, it gives you it like creates a web page for you with the data that it found. So it's sort of like what we were just talking about for YouTube videos, but for any subject that you want. And Arc does not have advertisers, so you are just getting the data. So it's a pretty clean interface.
Is it ARK or ARC?
ARC.
I've never heard of the Arc browser. I'm kind of Chrome centric.
Mobile. It's pretty good on mobile. Yeah.
I was on a waiting list for it for a while. I mean, I guess that's opened up now, but I didn't have access for a long time.
Yeah, I remember talking about it on a show like a really long time ago and talking about that we had waiting lists and none of us had access. And now it's a thing, and it has a relationship with Perplexity, which is one of our favorites. So.
That's credibility.
For sure. Okay, so are we good? Do we want to move on to the ads? Let's talk about those really quick. So in your custom GPTs, or no, I shouldn't say in custom GPTs. If you're in ChatGPT Plus, a paid account, and you have access to several custom GPTs. That could be because you created them, or you're in a GPT for Teams workspace, in which case you have access to other people's. You can now call on, and actually any GPT that you've previously used from the not the store, but from the marketplace, you can use an @ symbol and call to that custom GPT. I have not played around with this a lot. I know I have it, but I haven't played around with it a lot. I definitely see a lot of value in it, though. Some people are like, "Oh, that's going to take you out of working in like." It's sort of like, when they say that multitasking doesn't actually work. That you should stay in a silo and work that one particular area. And so this is going to affect that. That was one comment I saw, but I disagree. We have with Scale, we've been creating custom GPTs that are in team environments. In other words, people can sign up and get access to a team environment that already has pre-built custom GPTs. Obviously, it's focused on sales because of what I do for Scale, but I definitely see value in that, because each one of those custom GPTs serves a specific function, but they're not necessarily isolated from each other. And for instance, you might be doing prospecting as part of a sales role, but then you might want to follow that up into something that's an email writer, or you might want to follow that up into something that is more of a discovery call or a demo call type process for another custom GPT. So I actually don't mind the idea of being in a blank to start out, not even in that custom GPT, but a blank brand new chat window, and going through the process and just calling up one of them and starting that process and then calling up the next one. I don't know. I mean, do you guys see other huge issues with that? I kind of think it's a cool feature for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love the feature. I'm just right now I'm at the problem of I don't know which GPT to call, and there's so many. I haven't quite gotten a loyalty to GPTs, or I haven't created ones that I trust enough to call. And so I think it's too early on for me to actually have the usefulness of it, but I love the idea of being able to not have to go to the Explore GPTs page and then find the GPT and then click on it. I'd rather just go if I already know which one I want to use. And so I think that's the hard part is I don't know which one I want to use or how I want to combine them. Like this is the same thing that happened with plugins back in the day, right? Back in the day, 6 months ago, we had plugins and we could use up to 3 at a time. I still didn't know how to craft the prompt so that it did the airline with Expedia, but the hotel with Marriott and then Open Table. So like I had to make sure that it was calling the right one and it knew to call the right one. So I think that's the same problem here. But
I think Gwen's kind of like saying a bit of your same point, but for custom GPTs, we still don't know what's good to use. Exactly what you're just saying. And yes, it's a good call. She's saying it's only for paid users. That's true. You do have to have a paid account in order to utilize custom GPTs.
Let me just say in general, it is a powerful concept that you can call upon pre-built, much better prompts and functionalities that have been built by really, really great programmers out there into custom GPTs that are available in the marketplace. You don't have to pay for those. You just have to add them to your library, basically. And then just by putting the @ in, you can call that one in and have it do something for you. So for example, one of the top GPTs out there is a coding tool called Grimoire. Now, Grimoire can do almost any coding task you want. So let's say you're exploring something and you come up with an idea that's based on this little bit of research that you've been asking ChatGPT for, to do for you in the ChatGPT. Now you say, at Grimoire, build me a website that, delivers this. I mean, literally you can imagine now chains of operations that you can put right in the chat, the end result of which is you call another GPT that actually outputs all that as a document for you, and you save it. And all of that just compresses the time that it would take to otherwise assemble all these different steps that you would otherwise have to do.
Yeah. Right. And I wanted to call in Greg's comment really quick because he says, does it lay it on your custom instructions? That would be powerful. Greg, that's a great idea. And I hadn't thought about that. But I will tell you, in my experience with custom GPTs, or really, let's say custom GPTs, I have found that in my instructions, a good idea is to say before, if you're in a brand new chat, I put it in my instructions to say, before you start, you need to go through your knowledge base first. And the reason I realized that was important was I often realized it didn't exactly know what it was supposed to know. And then it got confused in answering my questions. I've solved that problem for the most case by just simply saying, before you do anything, you have to review everything that's in your knowledge base, any documents I put in, so it has that baseline knowledge. And I wonder, Greg, if you're onto something here, if this is what you're saying, which is that I could create a very easy daily AI show or scaled or whatever custom GPT that the only function of it is to serve as a larger custom instructions. And then if I'm in my natural chat and I'm just doing something for work, the first thing I would do if I want to do scaled work is I would call that custom GPT, which should then pull in all the information from the knowledge base before I start the rest of my chat. I think that's an awesome idea.
I really love what you're talking about, but I'm wondering if the actual functionality is truly there. I love the idea of having a kind of enhanced custom instructions by way of a GPT. But the problem with that is, are you only working within the bounds of that GPT then? Because you're calling it, you're saying at this with the hopes of it pulling in your custom instructions or your knowledge base or whatever documents you've used to specifically structure it to your company, but then it might be somewhat in a silo if you kind of tell it to operate within that GPT, whereas custom instructions operates everything with this lens, right? You're telling it, I work for this company, this is my role, and blah, blah, blah. So to answer his question, I'm pretty sure custom instructions do work when you're calling GPTs. I don't think they work when you are going into the GPT window specifically. Am I right?
I don't know.
I think you're right, Robert. I think if you are you start in the left side menu there, you start with Chat GPT, not a custom GPT that you have listed there.
Right.
But you start with Chat GPT, your custom instructions are applied there. Then if you use the @ within it, you're going to get that new custom GPT to come in and understand the full chat history, which includes your custom instructions. I believe that's the case, but this will require some testing.
Yeah.
Well, how could it not,
idea,
Karl?
I like the idea.
Because you're operating within the regular GPT window, and you're actually doing a custom call to this GPT. So you're referencing it, but then you're saying, okay, go back to the regular.
You're not leaving your chat. You're just adding another prompt to your chat.
It's easy to get that.
So I've done it where I shared this yesterday or whenever we were talking about it, which might have been 2023 when it didn't exist. This is in 2 GPTs. So I am having a conversation with my Flutterflow tutor called Fluter. And we've diagrammed out graphical user interface, whatever GUI, for submitting audio files to Whisper, just a really simple thing. And so then from within that chat, I called in Diagram to Diagram Show Me to build like a screen graphics so that I could see what was happening. And if you're looking at the screen, you can see that my bar says message Fluter. If I type at diagrams, oh, come on. No, it's not going to work. None of this happens, Beth. It looks like you can create a GPT from all right, I'm not. Yeah, it's a live demo.
I think it's just because you brought up an older chat rather than having a live thread.
I was thinking.
Oh, it was a live thread, man. All right.
So,
if you saw that, you could also create a GPT from within that conversation with Fluter. So you can actually discover that you need something, click the create GPT, go make it, and then bring it into that conversation, which is also pretty powerful.
So I want to do like a TLDR to capture this whole idea, which is we talked a long time ago about prompt types, and one thing that you can do is prompt chaining. Now, prompt chaining normally required manual effort, right? You would have to say, okay, I have this prompt in my prompt library. I'm going to use that one. And now when I get the output of that, I'm going to put that with the new prompt that's in my prompt library. And you're basically going through that sequence. What we're seeing, as Gwen just showed, is, and as Beth just illustrated, now you can do prompt chaining using these prepackaged prompts that are custom GPTs and just invoke them right in the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
So Gwen, I just want to wrap this up so we can move on to other news really quick. But just to get to Gwen's comment, she mentioned Nicole Leffler. She did have a post on TikTok as well as LinkedIn where she was talking about how she's in action. That's how she connected over to the Zapier connection. And yeah, it was cool. She basically ran it through a Zapier that then was coming back and using, and I don't know if she mentioned the tool, but she was using one of the voiceover tools that is out there, whether it was 11 Labs or otherwise. And then it just brought it back into her ChatGPT. So she was just demonstrating the function of, hey, I can stay in ChatGPT and get this voiceover for this transcript that I'm creating or whatever, which was a cool use case of that. And then
she's using the custom GPT from Zapier, right? I mean, Zapier has a set of custom GPTs out there.
She was using the action, I believe, to set it up, but I didn't get into it that deep. I don't know.
Which is exactly why OpenAI created ats, is they don't want you leaving the window. That's the beauty of this. This is Google all over again. They don't want you to leave the page, and I think that's brilliant for usability purposes. So it's good strategy.
Good point.
I mean, the actions still. I haven't messed with them a ton, but the actions still time out a lot for me, and I find them to be like problematic. So we'll see if that gets better. And Greg, last comment here. He just said, that's what I want. I want custom structures to hand supply the result of the GP that I called. That sounds wonderful. Yeah, it's a great idea, Greg. Thanks for bringing it up. Okay, I'll throw in another news story here. It's not really a news story, but I just found it interesting. It came out today from our buddy Ethan Malik, who we reference quite a bit on the show. He's pretty great. Go follow him on X and other places.
Like he knows
our buddy. Hey, Ethan.
I know you're watching, Ethan.
Good old Ethan.
Call me. We want to interview you. Hit me up.
Thanks for dropping off those cookies. I appreciate it.
I don't even call him Ethan. I just call him Malik. But whatever. You guys. He has a blog called One Useful Thing, and he has one that came out today called "What Can Be Done in 59 Seconds: An Opportunity and a Crisis." I won't spend too much time on this because not necessarily news, but I would say go check that out. You can look it up by looking at What Can Be Done in 59 Seconds or Ethan Malik blog. But basically, he talks about how he did tests like a year ago or something like that, or he said a couple months ago, where it was like, what can I do? Can I build a business in a small period of time? So he wanted to test that theory again. And so he goes through how he opened up 5 different windows using 5 different tools, or basically he used everything from a Microsoft Copilot to a ChatGPT to, I think he might have been using a Bard. He uses Copilot inside of PowerPoint. And essentially, after doing some basic setting up what prompts he wants to use, he says go, and it creates what you call it, like a went right out of my head. Anyway,
he creates a thingy.
Idea. That's not what I wanted to say, but a business idea in 59 seconds. It created some PowerPoints from it, created some stories. Anyway, it's a great article. It's not really news, but you should definitely go check it out. I ended up getting it through my email, but you can go get it on the web as well, and I will add that to the comments. So for anybody following along. All right, what else we got?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to throw one quick one in there about Elon and the Neuralink. Successfully put it into somebody's brain that now they can control their phone. Why that matters? Well, it matters because that's pretty darn awesome that we're becoming cyborgs, and I'll sign up for that 100%. If I can somehow get a Neuralink to make me smarter or think faster, then I'd control devices. Not so much. Go ahead, Jyunmi.
So just to clarify, they're not quite controlling their phone yet, right? There's been a spike recognized in the activity, and so that implies that it's it's doing the linking appropriately. But
right. The first step in the journey to neural interfaces, and then we can all be like cyberpunk.
I mean, basically, it's there.
I just want to call out for that too. I mean, Elon has said too, like, one of the big pushes for this is for people with disabilities, people who have paraplegics and things like that, which I think is phenomenal. I mean, who doesn't want that, obviously? So I think there's a lot of, yes, obviously being able to mind meld your phone and whatever, that's cool stuff or whatever. But I think it has some really, really cool, very fast applications when it comes to diseases and different disorders and things like that people are dealing with. So I'm super excited to learn more about it. We'll see. I feel
pretty bad for Elon. He's not getting paid. Delaware decided not to pay him. I feel real bad. Like, I don't know how he's going to afford to live now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he did get his $54 billion paycheck that they decided that was too much of a compensation package for Tesla. And I just feel real bad for the guy.
Okay, back to Neuralink. They are currently accepting applications from people with ALS and paraplegia. So
that's awesome.
if you're interested, or if you know somebody who's interested, like they are
awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My uncle has Parkinson's disease. I would imagine, holy moly, in areas like that to control tremors and things like that. Like, oh man, there's probably some really cool stuff there. But anyway, we can move on. All right, we got maybe 10 minutes left.
All right, yeah. I'll try to go through what I got really quickly. So there's a company called Semron. They're announcing a new chip manufacturing process called MEM processors, or MEM capacitors. That's it. Think 3D chips with capacity. So essentially, we'll break it down anywhere from 35 to 300% more efficiency per watt for operations. And so this is particularly good for AI applications because, like we said in our previous show yesterday, one of the things that was highlighted was that we are in a dearth of AI compute. Like, compute is like our hardest thing that we've got to catch up with. And so this new tech is a big step towards fulfilling that gap. So that was one of the main hardware stories around AI that I wanted to point out. There's a bunch, but I'll let everybody else put in their 5 seconds.
Well, but just to capitalize on that, one way to increase the ability to compute is to make more chips, which everyone's trying to do. The other way is to make the chips that you have, or make more chips that take the same amount of time to make, but can do X amount more.
Yeah, less energy, more processing power, right?
Right.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we need. Who else? Who's got some news stories they want to share? I'm pretty much out. I mean, I had one really quickly about Yelp. I don't really use Yelp.
I got one really interesting one. I don't know if anyone saw that the New York Times is forming an AI initiatives team, which actually includes an ML engineer. So I've never ever heard of an actual media company, a traditional media company hiring a machine learning engineer and a software engineer to actually develop their own AI system, which is, to me, it's especially since they're the ones who are suing OpenAI.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a very, to me, that's a very interesting thing. And that has, I would imagine the other major publications are looking or could be looking to do the exact same thing, which is pretty big in itself.
Well, it's one of the things we've been foreshadowing, right? And I know, Robert, you said this in the past, is that we're going to be seeing individual, LLMs and AI projects for these organizations. So maybe this is just that it's heralding that movement in that direction.
I think it's all for Wordle. They're just trying to make Super Wordle.
Just make Super Wordle? Gotcha.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with real. I think it has to do something with copywriting. They're like, you idiots, this is for Wordle.
Okay, so
go ahead,
I have
Robert.
a couple. Meta announced Llama 70B, which trained on 1 trillion blah blah blahs. That's narrowing the gap supposedly to GPT-4. I've been watching. They keep on every single week. I seem to see Apple in the news about, hey, they're working on this, that, and the other. But then they're going to announce their language model updates to Siri at the Worldwide Developers Conference, which is like June. Like, why are they keep on talking about Apple, but they're going to be working on when there's all these other integrations or innovations happening across the horn with everybody else? Like, I don't like that they keep on bringing it up. Like, in the information is talking about it and all these newsletters talking about Apple's working on. I was like, I don't care, because obviously, it's other people are working on it and releasing it. So I'm just kind of annoyed, but also thought I'd mention that Apple is not laying down. They're spending tons of money on their language model.
I definitely think that the new version, I think it's iOS 18 or something, the new version of Siri will be announced and demoed at their developer, whatever it is, in June. I definitely think that's going to happen, but it does seem like tomorrow's February 1. We're a long way away from June as far as the AI goes. So that I agree with you. It's like, are we just talking about Apple because it's Apple? But like, also do something. I mean, unless you're going to talk about the Vision Pro, which I don't think. That's not really, it did come out. People are starting to do reviews of it. So you can go on YouTube and learn all about that and all the fun stuff. Marquise Brown did a good one on that.
So I'm not sure if any of you follow this Life Architect, but he kind of had some news on this. And it says iOS 17.4 code suggests Apple is testing 4 different AI models. This includes Apple's internal model called Ajax, which Bloomberg has previously reported on. iOS 17.4 shows that there are 2 versions of Ajax GPT, including one that is processing on device and one that is not, which is wow, right? We've been talking about this. The models are getting small enough that they can be on device. If they're good and Apple's doing it, then I'm excited. I just can't wait to do this next podcast using my Apple Vision Pro. That'd be awesome.
Well, speaking of the on-device thing, that's what the Semron mem capacitors are designed to do, is run those larger or stronger models on smaller devices. And they did mention VR headsets, even like earbuds and things like that. But I digress. I do have a couple of quick stories that I want to point out. Nightshade is a new tool that poisons data and you can apply this as a process to your art. So this is sort of a fight against the appropriated art for training and things like that. So this is I think this is an interesting story. I'll probably be following this myself to see if this propagates through the artist community at large. But apparently it's been around for the last 5 days and it's been downloaded 250,000 times so far. So we'll see if every artist is going to apply this to their art before they release it out here. Let's see, what was another one that I really liked? In the model side of things, there's one called Fuyu that was released, which is a multimodal. What's that?
Spell it.
Fuyu. Fuyu.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what's interesting about this model is it's multimodal, but it is designed for recognizing it's recognizing the image and working specifically for agents. So the example they gave was they were just showing it some marketing data and something you would get out of like Tableau and things like that, and then you would ask it questions about, oh, what is the ROI here, or what is this information, and it would break it down and grab all of the relevant data that was in the infographic and then apply the math that was needed to come up with the correct answer. So the key thing, though, they wanted to point out was this is for agent use. So they're planning it for AI agents to use to perform tasks. So it doesn't perform at the top of the human tests, but it does perform in its efficiency to recognize the information on any image that you provided.
So just to clarify, Fuyu is a language model that's been put together by a company called Adept, is what I'm saying. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, they're not. There's no slouch. It seems like they're kind of.
I've got another model that I want to just close out here with. I think it's worth an extra couple of minutes. I'm sharing my screen. This company, Abacus AI, I'd never heard of before, but it hit the news this week. And what Abacus is it's been an enterprise AI developer that uses AI to build AIs. So they've done a lot of fine tuning work for major corporations in supply chain and that sort of thing. And so you can see in this diagram that they have up here, a gang of AI agents that's working together to build a brain and then delivers this brain. Now, so
that's not scary at all.
The CEO of this company reasonably said, well, let's use our platform that we've built to do this, to build a large language model that will compete on the open source leaderboard. And they delivered in the under 35 billion parameter class an LLM called SMAUG, 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 that topped the leaderboard immediately. Okay, so it's on the MMLU, the Massive Multitask Language Understanding test, and several other tests. It just took the place. Now these are small increments, but it still led everything else out there, including Mixtral 7B, etc. Okay.
So unknown fact, just in case y'all didn't know about Abacus AI, they're actually owned by Cyberdyne Systems. So.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, you gotta follow.
That's from Terminator. In case nobody gets my references.
Yes, I do. I got the Cyberdyne. But I wanted to say is Miles Dyson.
Right.
I don't get that, but
very good. I got it.
An awesome lady to follow on X is Bindu Reddy, who is the CEO of Abacus AI. And I actually took a demo with Abacus. They're expensive. I think 60 to 100K to do what you're looking to do. So when we talk enterprise, we're like big enterprise, not middle of the road enterprise, like big enterprise. Yeah. It's interesting what they
spell her name again, by the way.
Bindu, so Bindu, and Reddy, REDDY.
And he threw down the gauntlet. He said GPT-4 is next. He's putting his platform against the large open model. And
she's
closed
very, very open. Like she is all the way on the open source side. Like always on the open source side. Yeah.
So Abacus in the news and on my radar now. I'm amazed. And Karl, I look forward to hearing more about it because you're talking to them.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up, but like, you may be able to say the one I'm gonna end on here, Jimmy, really quick, because I know it was on your topics. Worth mentioning, but I think honestly, let's just mention it and then say that we're gonna do a future show in it, and that's what happened recently to Taylor Swift, as far as there being AI deepfakes. Very explicit images that were AI created, had nothing, there weren't leaked images or anything like that. They were completely fake, targeting Taylor Swift. They were all spread all through social media. Microsoft has pledged to, work on this problem continuously, but I think it's part of a larger conversation, and probably a great show to talk about, the serious concerns of this. I as a father of, a 13-year-old daughter, I worry about things that already exist, like revenge porn and things like this. And now with AI being part of it, what does it take for somebody to try to, attack somebody essentially? And what could that do as a, not only from a mental health standpoint, if that should happen to a teenager, I mean, never mind anybody, but a teenager, and what can be done about it. So, Karl, did you have something real quick on that?
Yeah, really quickly, because when you said revenge porn, there was the news about there was an act coming that if I think a couple lawmakers put either an amendment to something or whatever it was because of Taylor Swift, the AI that came out, and they there's a law specifically if there's a digital representation of you in an intimate act, you can it's significant penalties or you can sue or whatever.
So.
Yeah, it allows you to sue. It's I think they just call it defiance. It's a new bill that they're putting through. But like you said, Brian, I just wanted to make sure that I know it's such a huge story. We totally need to do an episode on that because
it deserves its own 30 minutes. Yeah, for sure.
Far-reaching situation.
It is a big part of what every parent needs to know about AI, which is a presentation that I do. So this, and that's only going to continue. Right? The list of what every parent needs to know and what every teenager needs to know.
And it's only getting faster, which is even the scarier part. It's one thing when it takes several hurdles, and then by the time somebody gets into this, I shouldn't be doing that, and their better senses come to them. If you're in a fit or rage, or somebody breaks up with you, and teenager or adult or others, the mental capacity to stop yourself. Unfortunately, you can do irreparable damage to somebody in a matter of minutes when you're still in that state of pain and other stuff like that, and that scares the hell out of me because it's going to be so fast that you're going to be able to do damage very, very quickly before you would have the better common sense to maybe calm down, walk away, and think twice about it. And that's going to be damaging not only for the person they're attacking, but also for the attacker, who are going to see very real, like we're talking about, very real consequences for doing that kind of stuff. Okay, we're going to end it there because we are definitely over time, and we will come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're talking about AI and specifically cancer, what's going on in the world of cancer, treatments, different diseases that they're going after with AI. Really, really interesting stuff in that world. Friday, we're going to be doing our deep dive review of Runway ML. So that's what we got coming up the rest of the week. Until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Greg, for the comments. We appreciate you guys. Bye.
Aloha.